our still catch Sylphia is slowly sailing south, following Australia's vast coastline. We're on the hunt to see the unique and beloved Australian wildlife. In this episode, we're visiting Magnetic Island's Wallaby Refuge Center, where injured, ill, and orphaned rock wallabies and agile wallabies can be taken for care by educated and experienced carers. This is the story of a sailboat named Sylphia and the ragtag crew that call her home. Join us each week as we explore the planet both above and below the surface, and see what it's really like to live a life at sea. This is Expedition Drenched.
Guess what we're doing? We're going night diving.
So everybody they say
We're
no?
going night diving.
So everyone wants to go now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I woke up cat.
Yeah. I mean, you'll be happy in the long run. When it's midnight and you're not getting in the water, you'll be happy. You'll be thanking me.
You have to promise that I'm gonna see the gators.
The gators.
I want to see cuttlefish and octopus, a lot of them. So you better give me that.
I don't want to take any responsibility for the record.
You have this responsibility.
Yeah.
You
No,
move
no.
everybody.
What's the situation with the tides and the times and?
So the current is really strong, and you have to on a slack tide, so you don't have like the tide going up and down, and the current is really soft.
It's a bit early for ideal night diving conditions, but then otherwise we have to wait till like midnight. So I'm going the early route.
That's like cruiser 5
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Gizmo? Are we making the right decision?
I was pumping some tanks and at the same time enjoying this wonderful sunset, and I was thinking how mind-blowing these last 2 days have been for me. Like being able to see what we've seen under the water made me realize how important it is to keep in every country marine reserves, marine parks, everything to protect as much as areas as possible. I feel grateful to being able to be a part of it, I still can't imagine. I think I'm going to be dreaming with this for the following days. Like, I really can't believe that we see that with our eyes, that we capture this with our minds. And yeah, I just wanted to say that it's been the best day.
I'm gonna be nice, Captain, and make some banana pancakes for the crew. How nice is that?
Apple cider vinegar and honey off the cone. Do a lot of good for a simple man's soul. Take it hot, take it right off the stove. Add a little liquor, it'll cure a little cold.
After the hop, we can do the chicken and the kangaroo. Don't you know that we can do the lunch?
Welcome to the Wallaby Refuge on Magnetic Island. And would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Dari Lyle, and I've been running the refuge here now for 10 years.
So we're here in Australia, and obviously there is a few iconic animals that everybody knows something about. They know the name, or they know that they're famous in Australia. So if you could just tell us a little bit about just kind of a few general things about what is a wallaby.
Oh, a wallaby is basically a small kangaroo. What kangaroos and wallabies, koalas, possums are marsupials, and that means that they have their babies in a pouch. These little animals are then called as macropods, because macro being large and pod being foot. Oh. So these are macropods. The rock wallabies are indigenous to the island, and you can see why, because of their anatomy and their being that they jump up and they're able to get up into the rocks and such like that. The other wallabies on the island are agile wallabies. They were introduced almost accidentally in the 1980s by an old koala park that some escaped from. But in 2003, that park closed down, and that's a new one, and she did release some agile wallabies, and so they are on the island now. The agile wallabies are more similar to kangaroos than these little rockies are, but they can't maneuver environmentally the island, and therefore they are stuck in this very traffic-ridden area. So that's why we get a lot of them in. And for that reason, working with the National Park Rangers and the Department of Environment and Science and such, this provision has been made that once these guys get bigger, the agiles, they must go over to the mainland. That's environmentally where they are more established, and they're plains animals. So that's the difference between the two.
How did you become interested in wallabies and rehabilitating them?
When I came to the island and was just retiring from nursing, so there was that caring aspect that was there. This is such a wildlife island. I joined the local wildlife group and started just interested in almost anything. I started out with birds because I have my own private exotics, but really realizing very early that being species specific is very important. You know, one person says that they can take care of all the different species. They're a fool.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with these. And between the wallabies and the koalas, people tend to just absolutely fell for these guys, and that's where I just did my studies.
Maybe you know the number, or if you had to guess, how many wallabies have you taken care of over the last 10 years?
We estimate that I have released over 200, would you say, love? Easily over 200 that I've released.
What are the top 3 causes of the joeys, like losing their parents or the injuries? What would you say are their 3 biggest threats on Magnetic Island?
On Magnetic Island would be vehicles, dogs, animals. Yeah. It is really mainly vehicles. Wallabies will come out and they'll eat the grasses on the road edges. And even if they hear a sound, they get shocked. Might run across the road. I've had women and men both here in tears because they've hit a wallaby and they didn't mean to.
They weren't doing anything wrong.
They were not doing anything wrong.
Would you say that they're part of the tourism here in Magnetic Island?
Absolutely, more than I wish, because they are a very good draw card, as the rock wallabies down in Arcadia are. They're a very good draw card, but unfortunately, people don't feed them the right things, and they need to understand that wallabies, you know how we eat up and down? Wallabies eat sideways.
Oh, okay.
And their back teeth are actually flattened for them to eat that way. So if you give them bird seed and such like that, they don't chew it like we do. Well, not bird seed, but nuts. Yeah, they don't chew like we do, and unfortunately, it gets caught in their gums. So that's why I've been really promoting hard down at the rock wallabies the right food, which is if we could just get the natural grasses. So to me, it's if you can go and see them or watch them, but just give them their space.
Awesome. Well, it was very nice to learn about the wallabies. Shall we go have a little look around and meet some of the babies and see what you're doing?
Sure. Here to come out. Oh my goodness. Hi.
So how old will this one be?
This will be about 8 months.
8 months. And is it a boy or girl?
This is a little girl.
Does she have a name?
This is Sandy.
Sandy. Hi, little one. So cute. And how did Sandy end up here? What's her story?
Her mom was hit by a car, and some really nice islanders stopped, and I always say to them, please check for if there's a baby, and they did, and they found her. She was just a little pinky. This is my incubator, which we put the little pinkies into. Wow. And so she was in there for a little while, and then we move on to when they grow a bit.
Yeah, and then what's in this one is Juan, you said?
This little one?
Yeah.
This little one is Johnny.
Johnny.
Yep, we got Sandy and Johnny. And yeah. Now,
was his car accidents probably the main?
This one was a near drowning.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was a near drowning. And what we have to really remember is that when they're near drownings, was it in chlorinated water? Was it in fresh water? Because it's very different on the body. And we have to work with. So he was a very special little rescue for me.
Oh. How many different types of wallabies are there in Magnetic Island?
On Magnetic Island there's 2 types. There's rock wallabies and there's agile wallabies.
Okay. What are the main differences between the two?
Well, the agiles are very tall. About as tall as I am.
Oh,
and the little rockies are what you saw down at the rock area where they're just very small.
Yeah.
The little rock wallabies are able to jump on the rocks while the agiles are not, and that's why we don't find them anywhere except in the beachy area here.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just a flat area. And that's why when my agiles get to 3 kilos, I take them over to the mainland, and that's where they are released. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, in this enclosure here, you have a friend. Here, this one is a little bit younger. It's only about 5 months. Just in the velveting stage. Again, was due to Mummy hit by a car.
Oh, you are so cute.
So last night we had to move the boat forward because we were getting smoked out because they're doing some controlled fires back here on the mountain, and it was just filling the boat with smoke, and we could start to feel it. So we moved the boat forward as close as we could to get out of the smoke, and now we moved it at high tide, and now it's low tide. And we're about to get stuck in the mud. We're about to get high centered. So I felt it last night when the tide went down, but now it's the next morning and the tide's gonna go even lower than it did last night. So I don't dare throw the engine on, so we're actually gonna pull the boat with a dive dinghy and just move us into a safer spot. Let's go.
Where do you want to go? Just straight back?
Just straight back, and so that we gain a couple meters. Right now we're in 2.3, we draw 2.5. So.
But that's 2.3 from the sounder.
I hear you.
So
but
we got an
we're already
extra.
hitting, and when you feel it hit, it probably is actually our rudder, which is really bad for it. And I don't want to kick the engine on and have the propeller spin in the sand. Probably not good for it. So we're just going to use our dive dinghy and pull us back. And then I'll throw the engine on when we're probably in more like 4 meters of water. Alright, we're turning. I'm seeing 2 meters in our depth, and our rudder's the lowest part, so it's probably going to scoop through some mud here, but we're turning. Take us back there. That's where we're going to live. 2.1, we gained a 0.1.
Look at the curtains going. Oh, here comes a big one. Woo! Hey Matt.
Yeah.
Guess what?
What?
We decided to move the boat again.
The 4th time in the past 2 days we've moved the boat in this anchorage. Because the first one, it was too smoky because they're doing a controlled burn. And then this next one we went to, it was too shallow, so we're scraping the bottom. Now this one is too rolly. It's like Goldilocks. It's not ever perfectly right. So maybe 4th time is a charm. 5th time is a charm.
Okay, so tides are an important thing that we haven't had to deal with since New Zealand, and since through the South Pacific the tides don't really fluctuate that much, but here in Australia it's something we're really going to have to deal with, especially once we get up on the northern territory like Darwin. Huge 20-foot tidal swings can happen up there. But here we are going into where it's like the lowest tides of the year, and so last night when I felt us kind of like kissing the mud, I knew that I should move the boat in the morning, but I didn't because I'm a lazy individual. So I was like, oh, the worst is just gonna like kiss it again. But then I kind of like felt it, and then I looked up the tides. So on Predict Wind, you can just look up when the tides are. And I looked up the tide and realized we weren't even at low tide yet. We were already hugging the mud. So we still had about another, we're about it right now, and so it dropped even another like 2 feet since then. So it's a good thing we moved the boat, but it's really important moving forward in these areas to know the tide schedule so that you can plan on putting enough chain out, or that you just know that when the tide drops that you're going to have plenty of room underneath your keel. The tides really affect the currents, so we went up to the Angala and we had to like plan our dives around those currents, and that's all because of the tidal swings. And also you don't really want to motor in or sail in when the tide is coming against you, so it's really important when you plan like a route that you not just take the wind and the weather into account, but you should also look at the tide. A lot going on, because if that's working against you up to 2 knots, it can take your 8-knot sail down to a 6-knot sail. Had a beautiful time in Magnetic Island. We're gonna head over to Townsville, which is like an industrial area, get some work done, and see where the road takes us. Let's go.
There longer than in this body I can stay. I will be lonely if you ever return again. Write another's on the frame, 'cause in a little while, when all will be over, you're gonna say goodbye. Go and get your closure.
Next time on Expedition Drenched, we set sail from Magnetic Island and dive the famous John Brewer Reef. A sailor went to sea to see what he could see.
Yes! This is how Kat likes to start her day. Confidence. Does it give you confidence?
I'm obviously really confident talking for the camera right now.
It's working.
I love ketchup on my hot dog.
I think it's like all the salt water or something. It does wonders.
There's like a breeze coming in from outside. It's like billowing in the wind. Now that the pancake's ready, what do you do?
Just chuck it in your mouth.
Chuck it in your mouth.
Get the shot. Get the shot.
You have to go in the slack tide, otherwise you will end up. A slack tide is when
Eyes
it's
up and okay, yeah, continue, sorry. Sorry, that's
Sorry, last time.
And
No.
how are you feeling, Nate? What's your you feel
fantastic.
deep vomits?
Nate is obsessed with trying to have this bookshelf here.
It's not working.
The books won't fall. But they're falling. And there I just moved them. And there. Look at the state of our boat right now.
I cannot work here properly. I can't do anything. This is inappropriate.
Yeah.
That's how hole we live in.
Get out of my booty shot, man! God, you're ruining it. Damn it, man! Get out of there!
That was the thumbnail.